In NASCAR, where speed, strategy, and spectacle all come together, the bond between team owners and the governing body has always been a key factor in determining the future of the sport. However, there's been a lot of friction and conflict in this relationship because team owners have to deal with a lot of complicated rules, financial pressures, and competitive demands. Against this backdrop, team owners have not hesitated to take bold actions to assert their interests and challenge NASCAR's decisions when they believe the sport's direction threatens their investments or compromises the integrity of competition. These actions, which range from legal battles to public protests, shine a light on the power dynamics at play within NASCAR and underscore the high stakes involved for those who have poured their resources into fielding competitive race teams. As NASCAR continues to evolve in response to shifting demographics, technological advances, and economic pressures, the relationship between team owners and the governing body will remain a focal point, with each side vying to shape the future of professional stock car racing. Some of the most significant instances where team owners have taken decisive actions against NASCAR, examining the motivations behind their moves and the broader implications for the sport's landscape. Were these determinations appropriate? Although NASCAR's racing portion got off to an exciting start last weekend, the new charter agreement has yet to make progress. Because the existing charter agreement is set to expire at the end of 2024, NASCAR and the Race Team Alliance, an association of team owners, have been drafting a new charter deal. The owners of stock car racing teams are requesting an agreement that would assist in reducing the financial pressure that they're under as a result of the high expenditures associated with the sport. On the other hand, the owners were recently dissatisfied with CEO Jim France since he refused an invitation they extended to him. The current approach encourages a league-like format in which NASCAR awards charters to 36 different team owners, each of which guaranteed a starting spot from the beginning of the season. For their part, the teams have agreed to refrain from competing on other circuits. In addition, there are 4 open slots available for non-chartered teams to participate in fields with 40-car fields. For the past several months, NASCAR and the Race Team Alliance have been trying to come to a common ground over a new charter agreement. The RTA has gone to extreme lengths, including hiring a lawyer, to protect what they believe to be their long-term interests, rather than engaging in constructive negotiations. In discussion here is the legal mind of Jeffrey Kessler, a guy who enjoys widespread renown and esteem among his peers. He's done an excellent job in the sports world, where he has worked mostly. In the case of NCAA vs. Alston 2021, Kessler was the counsel who prevailed before the U.S. Supreme Court. Additionally, he was instrumental in securing equal compensation for the United States women's national soccer squad and the men's squad. When it comes down to it, Kessler is serious. Denny Hamlin, owner of 2311 Racing, and Jared Allen discussed the present state of affairs with the new charter agreement on a recent episode of the Actions Detrimental podcast, where this was disclosed. Host Allen mentioned that the RTA hired Kessler, calling the Winston and Strawn partner the Michael Jordan of lawyers. The 2311 Racing owner said while replying to his co-host, "There's a story to be told on the owner's part, and obviously hiring Jeffrey is a big step for the owners. But I think a lot of it is protection for the team owners. Obviously, there's a lot of language and so much red tape when it comes to charter agreements and whatnot that you gotta make sure that you got all the protection you need, because this is a big deal. The charter agreement is a big deal to us." The 43-year-old did not hold back when it came to expressing his dissatisfaction with the fact that NASCAR CEO Jim France had snubbed an invitation extended by the RTA. In addition, he stated that the owner's sole desire from that meeting was to gain an understanding of the reasons behind NASCAR's refusal to accommodate their requirements in the new charter agreement. In light of the team's conflict with the authorities, NASCAR President Steve Phelps addressed the situation. The American stock car racing community has been experiencing simmering tensions for some time now. As a group, the team's owners brought in the top attorney in the nation to take a legal approach. Is that all they need? A mutually beneficial agreement that is fair to all parties. They were right to be angry at NASCAR for their initial unwillingness to address the issue with the teams. However, it appears that the authorities are also attempting to handle this matter promptly. We don't know if this is an attempt at damage control, but for the time being, seeing Steve Phelps address the matter should calm things down. On SiriusXM NASCAR Radio, the NASCAR president discussed the team's charter negotiations with the body. He said the company will provide a fair, profitable contract. Phelps explained how a good charter agreement would increase the team's business value over time. He added, "We're going to get it done. The only question is when, and I've said this for 2 years. We're going to do a fair deal, and the fair deal is going to provide more money to the race teams," said Phelps. "And we've got to. We'll give them a path towards profitability, which is what they want, and an opportunity to increase the enterprise value of their charters." The charter system in NASCAR, or any future replacement, could face an antitrust challenge due to the absence of a collective bargaining agreement between NASCAR and teams. This means that the non-statutory labor exemption, which protects collectively bargained rules for wages, hours, and other working conditions, is not applicable. The charter system controls the market of teams and racers' competition, determining eligibility and determining earnings. Teams denied access to a charter could argue that their exclusion harms competition, limiting opportunities for winnings and sponsorships. NASCAR has faced antitrust claims under Section 2 of the Sherman Act, including a 2009 U.S. Court of Appeals ruling that NASCAR used its control to unlawfully prevent a speedway from hosting the Sprint Cup. The single-entity defense could also be used to assert that NASCAR is not subject to claims of unlawfully conspiring with competitors. However, the analysis is complicated by the fact that NASCAR teams are independently owned, making the single-entity defense less likely to apply. Despite the single-entity defense, NASCAR could argue that the charter system promotes competition by rewarding teams with a minimum performance standard and a productive record of success. The system shares control of charters with owners, who can sell or lease them on the open market. Charters increase the value of teams and enable them to guarantee participation in races, making the sponsorship market more stable and lucrative. There might also be contractual language in charters that limits or precludes owners from raising certain types of legal claims in court or compels them to turn to mediation or arbitration. Even if Kessler were to file a lawsuit against NASCAR, the organization would have a reasonable expectation that it would triumph in the case. On the other hand, a new system of charters, or whatever comes after it, could prove to be more susceptible to failure. Kessler's arrival might not presage an antitrust battle, but if owners go down that path, they'll be led by an attorney who would command NASCAR's attention. The actions taken by team owners, including the hiring of prominent attorney Jeffrey Kessler, reflect their determination to protect their interest and ensure a fair and equitable agreement with NASCAR. While tensions between the two sides have simmered for some time, the involvement of legal counsel signals a significant escalation in the dispute. NASCAR's response, as articulated by President Steve Phelps, suggests a commitment to finding a mutually beneficial solution that addresses the concerns of team owners, while promoting the long-term sustainability and profitability of the sport. However, the complexity of the issues at hand, including potential antitrust challenges and the intricacies of the charter system, means that finding common ground will require careful negotiation and compromise from both parties. In the end, the outcome of these negotiations will not only shape the future of NASCAR, but also set a precedent for how similar disputes are resolved within the world of professional sports. Whether through legal action or collaborative dialogue, the ultimate goal remains the same: to ensure the continued success and competitiveness of NASCAR, while safeguarding the interests of all stakeholders involved. Like, share, and subscribe to see what solution this lawsuit will bring to the desk.